God, I love that music. I hate to turn it off. Ah, well. There we go. Hey, everybody. How are you? Good evening. It's me. Okay, first, question of the evening for you guys. Which music did you like better? Did you like the jazzy piano music or the funky blues type music? Let me know. I got all kinds of music. I know what I like. I like them both. This particular thing here, this bluesy thing, was the neither, huh? Okay, well, we're open to suggestions. That was the theme song I used to do. I used to use on my drone live streams. I had 2 or 3 songs I used to rotate, and I don't know why I kind of got hooked on the jazzy piano one, but probably because I'm old. So good to see everybody. Got some people starting to come in, and I'm here. And I got a little something new to show you guys tonight. And I'm going to have to stand up to show it to you, but there we are. What do you think? That's one of my t-shirts, and I finally got my first one today, actually. Got it today, and they had said it was coming tomorrow. But it came today. And I got an email from Randy K, who beat me to it. And I was jealous as hell because he got the first shirt. He ordered the shirt the day that I actually had them available, and he ordered one, and he's got the cigar in his mouth, and that's perfect. Guy could be my brother. So now there's 2 of them out there, and and there's been a few more ordered. A good number of them people ordered them after last week, and I was a little hesitant because I hadn't really seen the quality of them, but they're beautiful. They're very nice and soft, and look like a pretty good quality shirt. So I'm happy with them. And I've got 2 different kinds. I've got one that says just old guy on top and then carnivore on bottom with the face in the middle. And I got the one that says take the rest of the day off and eat meat. And I am really working hard to try to find an apron, a cooking apron, like a barbecue apron, that a lot of people have asked me to get one that says, excuse me while I beat my eggs. I had no idea that was going to become a thing, this excuse me while I beat my eggs, but it's become a real running joke. So the problem is most of these places that supply aprons do it for restaurants and chains and things, and their minimum order sometimes is 100 or 1,000, and it's not an on-demand printer like the t-shirts are. Because when you get them, especially with t-shirts with 5 different colors and all kinds of different sizes, you have 100 different possible combinations, and you can't order 1,000 of each of those and keep them in stock. Because you're going to get stuck with a lot of t-shirts. So these on-demand printers, print them up as they're ordered. And I'm trying to find one that does aprons that way. And if I can, I'll get some of those, pardon me, or excuse me, while I beat my eggs. And we'll have some kind of graphic on it about beating eggs and maybe a little old guy face. But that's funny. So at any rate, the t-shirts are out, and I'm going to order myself probably another 4 or 5 of them in different colors because I'll probably be wearing them all the time. Little shameless self-promotion here. Never hurt anybody. Okay. I spent the day or the afternoon at the dentist. Got my teeth cleaned. For everybody and we talked about my poor stained up teeth, and they get them every 4 months. I get them cleaned as best they can. So I don't know, a little better, especially the bottoms. That's where the stain really happens. But I feel just a hell of a lot prettier tonight than I was last week. So got my new shirt on, got my teeth shining, and she suggested to me today that I should consider getting a water pick. I use a Sonicare thing twice a day, every day, and that just doesn't keep the stain off my enamel-less teeth. Anybody, if any of you guys out there have had use a water pick and it really works, tell me. Let me know in the chat there, because I may go out tomorrow and buy one. We talked also today, a lot of people my age, in fact, most people my age don't even have their own teeth anymore. And I was telling her, I said, when I see a guy in his mid to late 70s and his 80s and he makes a big smile and he's got a Carlos, I have banned people from my channel for less than that. Behave yourself. Carlos wants me to give up cigars. That's what I got left, guys. I got cigars and coffee and you guys. And I wasn't too happy with you guys yesterday. It felt good, though. And I've never gotten so many comments on a video. I was up until the middle of the night last night trying to get through those comments, and I got through half of them, and I finished the rest of them off this morning. It was it was a marathon, but 99% of the comments, 99.9% of the comments were, like I said, very heartwarming, and I deeply appreciate it. There was one guy that missed the point of the whole video. And there's always one. There's always one. And his comment was basically that I should quit if I can't stand the heat. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. So after I got done ranting for 15 minutes about how I absolutely hate people telling me exactly what I should be doing and how, who has the right. They have the right to do one thing, and that is don't watch me. I've spent my whole life trying to please people, but people that I'm not obligated to for any reason, that I'm basically trying to help to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And this guy's telling me I should quit YouTube if I can't stand the criticism. Maybe he's right, but I had to laugh. I laughed about it. I said, well, there's always one guy in the crowd that doesn't get the memo. And I think he did. Richard, I got my t-shirt today in black, and I ordered the first day you showed it. Yeah, mine came today too, and Randy's came yesterday. So do you like it? I hope you like it. Send me a picture with you wearing it. I want to get a whole collection of these pictures of people wearing these shirts and put them on a montage on the website. So the email address is everywhere. It's in the show notes. It's on my website at oldguycarnivore.com, and all it is oldguycarnivore@gmail.com. So send me an email, attach a picture. I would love that. Thank you. No, you can give me friendly advice. Yes, Kronos. Anybody can give me friendly advice. But nobody can give me commands or orders. And there's a big difference. In fact, I told people, anybody who wants, Linda wants to know, how come the old man has no beard? Well, because when I found that graphic, I fell in love with it. So, no beard. Anyway, it says Steve Steckler says, Shalom, brothers and sisters. Well, Shalom, Steve. Steve's those of you who won't know what this means, but he's what we call an MOT. And Steve knows what that is. So welcome, Steve. Good to see you. Now you're all going to wonder what that is. I'll tell you later. Look at all the people coming in here. That's great. That's great. So I don't want to apologize for that rant because it felt great. Don't you guys want to do that every once in a while? Don't you just get so disgusted after watching the news and just everywhere you turn you see abject stupidity? Don't you just want to go out on top of a hill somewhere where nobody's around and just scream at the top of your lungs, and put your hands up? It's a great stress relief. And when I do those kind of things, I'm not quitting. I just vent. I like to vent. And one of my favorite comedians was, if you remember, he doesn't do it anymore, but Dennis Miller. He was famous. He was famous for his rants. And when I'm not kidding around and when I don't ask you to excuse me while I beat my eggs, you'll know that I'm really serious about giving it up. When you, I hate to talk about what you have to do and the compromises sometimes you have to make that you'd rather not make in order to play this YouTube game and try to con their algorithm a little bit. And one of the most common tactics used in YouTube, they call it clickbait. They put up something on in either the title or on the thumbnail that makes you have to click it because it's so compelling a question or a mystery that you have to click it. And then you sit through the whole video and there's not a damn thing in the video that even relates to the thumbnail. That's called clickbait. Then there's a title that's just boring. And you don't understand it, you don't know what it means, and you have and the thumbnail, you don't even understand what it's a picture of, and nobody clicks on it. Then there's most YouTube videos where you have to try to create some kind of impetus because you're competing with all of those other thumbnails that pop up in every viewer's recommendations. So you have to try to make yours stand out sometimes. And that's what I try to do. And I try not to cross the line of clickbaiting and make sure that my title and my image are truthful, but make you want to be interested in it. So if you ever think, and I've been accused, I've had a couple of comments that tell me that that's all, you're just clickbaiting. And I don't think I'm clickbaiting because everything that I say in the title and it is in the video, and it's what the video is about. I just try to make it look interesting enough so somebody will at least click on it. And if people don't like what they see, they click away. I know I get suckered in 20 times a day on YouTube videos, clicking on something that looks interesting, turns out to be nothing like what I thought it was, and I just click off. And that doesn't help me if that happens, because YouTube looks at all of that information to decide whether they're going to promulgate your video out to more people. They look at the retention rate. How long are viewers staying on your video? Is everybody just clicking off after the first 15 seconds, or are people getting into the meat of it? And that's where you get to see what people's attention span is really like. And it's not real great. Not real great. Very few people actually watch videos through to the end, which is why a lot of these YouTubers are always saying in the beginning, they're dangling a carrot out there for you, saying that, I'm going to tell you this. I tell you the big secret at the end, because they want you to, it's good for them and good for their views to watch. It's a shame that we YouTubers have to play that silly game with YouTube in order to actually get an audience out there. And we can't just come right out and say what this is. And everybody would say, I'm interested in that. But that won't happen because YouTube will never stick it in your feed if it's not interesting or if it doesn't have something that generates interest. And it's a hard game to keep playing. I don't like to have to play it. I try to make my videos honest and contain the information that it says in the title, but I have gotten accused of being a little clickbaity, but everybody does, including Ken Berry, Anthony Chaffee, and all the rest of them. So that's that. I won't talk too much about that. I did want to on the subject of my little rant the other day. That was yesterday. I want to show you one example of what I'm talking about. And this was a screenshot from my cell phone on Sunday morning. It was Sunday morning, Sunday, October 1st, 8:54 in the morning. I'd been up for a while, but I was busy answering comments. And this guy says, this is my video about my blood tests. He says, boring, sir. My first thought when somebody says that is, well, why the hell not only did you watch it, but did you feel the need to hurt my feelings and tell me that my video was boring on Sunday morning? Maybe I'm a little sensitive, but I don't like to be criticized. You know, you get that your whole life from people, and nobody likes to be criticized. People like constructive criticism, but boring, sir, is not constructive criticism. And the way I've been handling all these kind of, and I get quite a few of these kind of things, the way I've been handling this kind of thing is I try to out-sweet them. I try to be very, I try to send them a comment that's not combative, but let them know that I don't take it seriously. And my answer to him was, thank you, that is very helpful. So here's a guy that told me that my video was boring, and I told him that his comment was helpful. And I hoped it would end there. Now, this is one of the first times I've ever even answered one of these people. What I normally do is just click the heart, and you can see. And then when I click the heart, you all get a message that says, old Guy Carnivore loved your comment. I click that heart with gnashed teeth sometimes because I don't love the comment. I want to give it a few thumbs down, and I want to just get rid of the user. Because why would you do that? How many of you people go on other people's channels and insult them? I don't think any of my crowd, you guys are wonderful people. I don't think you do that kind of stuff. Anyway, I said, thank you, that's very helpful. Well, that's not good enough for this guy. He writes me back, I hope so. It needs presented in faster pace and far better display of your facts. I do not want to be in a classroom. I have my blood drawn, whatever Tuesday, whatever day that is. Okay, now that one really pissed me off. I mean, pissed me off. Who the F does this guy think he is to be demanding that I have to have consideration for his time? I don't know what the hell all this stuff is about being the blood drawn. And that pissed me off so bad that I did two things. I wrote him back and said, I normally don't engage with people who leave hurtful comments. I shouldn't have with you. Please just don't watch my videos if they bore you. I'm doing the best I can to try and help people. This requires no reply. And I didn't get another reply. I don't remember whether I blocked him or banned him or not. I don't know if I did, but this one little exchange on Sunday morning is where my idea, along with a few other choice little comments that I got, my idea for that little rant the other morning. And I hope that it was entertaining, because that's my real purpose here, is not to get you to worry and not to piss you off, but to try to entertain you. And sometimes I like to listen to somebody just going off like that. So I thought maybe you might too. So that's enough of that for the rants. Let me go back in the chat here and say hello to some people real quick. David Desanye, how you doing? Victory is here. T and Opals is here. Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. Sunenge, good evening, sir. Persnickety Picker, how are you? Robin Carter, Linda G, and Swamp Ninja. Swamp Ninja, how you doing, sir? I remember you from last week. Good to see you. Craig Smith, my buddy, will Mitch be doing push-ups before you start? No. I did push-ups in the gym this morning, so I'm pushed up out for today. Hello from King of Prussia, Chrono 77, Edward Campbell. How you doing? Carlos is here, back from the sky. Linda G, same. Food Porn Network. That's Gary. How you doing, Gary? Craig Smith wants push-ups. Do some yourself, Greg. Gary, Linda G, we got her, Son and Food Porn. Anybody new here that I hadn't seen before? Chronos. Jennifer from Texas. How you doing? Cigars, you can do it, Mitch. You can ditch them. But I don't want to ditch them. I don't want to do it. It's the one thing that I do that truly relaxes me. And I've been smoking cigars for over 50 years. And I've never smoked cigarettes. I don't inhale the smoke. I've had doctors tell me it's actually good for you because of the relaxing nature of it. And if you're not inhaling it, you're not going to get you might get a little secondhand smoke, but we all get that. Just driving around in traffic, we get worse than that. So cigars and a couple cups of coffee a day, that's not too much to ask. If it cuts 6 months off my life, it will. I gotta have a little something, because if I don't, and this is a mistake so many people make, or one of the reasons why quitting smoking is so hard, is what do those people turn to when they don't have their cigarettes? Food. And it makes it a little easier for me when I puff on a cigar not to try to find something else to do with my mouth, like stuff it full of ice cream. Richard got his t-shirt. You did good, Mitch, on that video. Thank you. And I have come up with a way of handling these things from here on out where I don't have to worry about any of them coming after, launching a friggin' vendetta against me. Or so I've got a way to handle it. So you probably may not be seeing them. They always buried their comments, not in the top layer of comments, but in the threads of somebody else's comment, which when you look at them in your video, it says view 1 reply, view 2 replies. Well, most people don't expand that. So that's why most people have not seen these nasty comments that I've seen. When I get presented with these comments in my backstage type program from YouTube, it opens them all up and I see everything. Kronos, anybody can give me friendly advice. B81 Mac also said shalom to Steve. For those of you that don't know, shalom is a Hebrew word, and it means hello, goodbye, and peace. Multi-purpose. Kronos says he doesn't sous vide because of the plastic issue. I guess you saw the sous vide bag that I use that's silicone rubber, and I don't think any of that stuff comes off. So that's one of the reasons why I hesitated to do sous vide also. Addicted to antlers, love my rant, so he says, so I didn't have to. You can run from stupidity. You can't run. No, you cannot run. You can just ignore it if you have the temperament to ignore it. There's a reason why old people yell, "Get off my lawn." Because by the time you get to be old, you just get fed up, and you just, like the guy in the movie Network, if you remember it, was screaming out the window, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." That's what happens when you get old. You get fooled by it when you're young, and then you catch on in the middle of the way, and then you have no tolerance for it by the time you get to my age. Easy B from Europe, how you doing? There's Craig, Linda Norovich, and David, Sanjay, Mac again. I think we're getting grumpy old Ben. There's a man after my own heart. Good morning from the Philippines. Love me a cigar, decent, cheap tobacco. Good for you, sir. Kara, how you doing? Mitch, I am 1 and a week's new and 59 years old. I like your style. By the way, Dennis Prager puffs cigars and also says secondhand smoke was the first hysterical caused by the left. Yeah, Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis and that whole gang smoked cigars. Joe Rogan smoked cigars. Everybody smoked cigars. Steven Crowder smoked cigars. Used to be. What was the movie? There was a movie. It was a great movie too, and it never got a lot of play. And it was kind of a B movie at the time, but it was called Duets. Duets. Has anybody seen that movie? Duets. It stars Huey Lewis, Gwyneth Paltrow. God, it's been so long. It was a movie about karaoke. And it was a very musical movie. It had a lot of great singing in it, and had a great story. It was a story of five different stories, and all these people were at some point in their life where they had an upheaval, and they were all out on the road, and they all happened in on all of these different karaoke bars and got hooked up in these contests, and they all ended up in Las Vegas for the finals. And it was a really, really heartwarming story. And one of my favorite lines in that movie was when one of them who was an escaped felon got killed, and his friend looked at him and said, "The world has lost its finesse." And that line stuck with me because that's what I think of when I look around. I said, there's no finesse anymore. There's just everything just coming at you. It's terrible. B81 Mac wants to be like me when he's 76. Margaret, how you doing? It's really great because I'm really starting to recognize a lot of the names, and a lot of you guys that have handles. I'd like to know, stick your first name in there sometimes. I'm trying to remember them, and I'm not good with names, but if it hits you enough, you remember them. Anyway, I think we're down to the bottom of the chat. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry, but thank you all for coming. We got 106 people in here. That's great. That's great. I did want to mention one other thing. Well, I have a couple of things I wanted to mention. I would like to bring some of you in to the stream as a guest. Not as a celebrity or a star, but just one of the people that's in this community. Introduce yourself, tell us your story, and we can talk a little bit, not an hour-long thing, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and it's easy to do. I just like I bring Carlos in, I just have to send you a link, you click on it, and boom. You got a camera, you got a webcam, you're in. If you'd like to do that, and you don't think you'd be too uncomfortable, I think it'd be great. I like the sense of community that these live streams bring together, and I want some of the community to be kind of involved in it. So my email address, again, is oldguycarnivore@gmail.com. Send me an email if you think is something you might like, and we'll, communicate back and forth, and we'll give it a try off the air and see how it works out, see if you're comfortable doing it. But I think that would be great. So I want to do that. Send me an email if you're interested in that. I have a video that I've promised you now for quite a while, and it's part of the series that I called How Did We Get Here? And you're getting a lot of that right now from a lot of different people. The story about Ellen G. White, the story about John Harvey Kellogg, the story about Ancel Keys, the story about the McGovern Commission, and the origins of the food pyramid, and the control that all these people have over the universities that teach the doctors and the nutritionists this nonsense that says healthy whole grains and healthy fruits and vegetables and bad red meat and bad cholesterol, all that stuff. And the reason that I care so much about that is that that's the reason why everybody fails trying to do this kind of a diet because they get it, and we've talked about this, but you can't talk about it enough. You get scared out of it by everybody, your doctor, your relatives, your family. Ooh, your cholesterol's too high. You need to take statins, And the only way to combat that fear that you have is knowledge. I don't know if it's that much fun, but it sure as hell does cement your conviction that allows you to continue. And that's what made me succeed, was knowing the history of this. Well, we got past John Harvey Kellogg, and we're coming up to Ancel Keys, who was probably one of the most fraudulent and key figures in the origins of the U.S. dietary guidelines. And there have been 100 videos already made about Ancel Keys. If I make another video about Ancel Keys, I will be just repeating something that's already out there and said 100 different times. I'll do it, but I don't feel like, I think it would be better for me to do a short video with a lot of links in it saying, watch this, watch this, watch this, and watch this, because I can't present it better than people like Belinda Fettke or Anthony Chaffee. And what the reason I thought about that was Anthony Chaffee just put out a video. He had a live stream, and it's called The Corruption of Our Nutritional and Medical Guidelines. And if you see on the screen right over here, there's old Ellen G. White. There's the, whoops, what did I just do? Hang on a second, I clicked it. There's Ellen G. White, there's the plate, my food plate. And this was, how long was it? It was 1 hour and 30 minutes. 45 minutes was his presentation, and the other 45 minutes was answering questions. This is like that Belinda Fettke email, YouTube video that I presented to you. This is a must-see thing. As soon as this live stream's over, I'm going to put this link into the show notes of this video. But I am going to make that video that I promised about Ancel Keys as part of the series of how we got here. Okay, wanted to mention that, and that's enough talking. So, I don't know if we've got any questions yet, but let me bring Carlos in here and go back to me, and let me... There he is.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, you sound crystal clear tonight.
Very good.
Good.
It should be that way.
Everybody, this is Carlos. Carlos, this is everybody.
I've been with Mitch, 3 years I know you now? Give or
Yeah,
take?
yeah, Carlos is and I actually met Carlos in person once. I mean, we've been friends long distance over, doing videos together, live streams and things, but he came down here for a fly-in, and we spent 3-4 days together, had a ball.
Had a great time, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually might
sure
come
did.
to Florida again, and I'll make sure to see. I'm going to go visit my son who's in Orlando,
Oh, yeah, do that.
and then go maybe spend a day or two with you.
Yeah, we'll go flying. I haven't been flying in a while.
Sounds
Okay,
like
what
a
do we
plan.
got here? Anybody wants to know anything, or did I just...
The only question I
Say
saw
everything.
that you might have missed is gravy okay to eat? Deborah. I think Deborah's new to the carnivore, and she's liking it, but she wants to know about the
Well,
gravy.
As long as the gravy is all fat.
Right, that's what somebody had actually said.
Yeah, if it's all fat, if it's butter or just, for example, if you cook a hamburger and you get all that fat in the pan, pour it back over the hamburger and make gravy out of it. Or collagen. When I did that recipe for the crock pot chuck, where I just put the chuck in the crock pot with no liquid or anything, put a lid on it, and cooked it for 4 hours or 8 hours, 9 hours. The liquid was over the top of the chuck, and all that liquid came out of the meat. And that liquid was pretty much some water, but mostly fat and collagen and a lot of other nutrients. And I refrigerated it, and you could see it layered out in the pan. And then I cut a hunk off of it and put it back in a frying pan and heated it up, and it all melted out again. And that collagen and the fat liquefied, and it was the most satisfying, delicious tasting, quote, gravy that you can imagine. And yet there wasn't a gram of carbohydrate in it. There was no flour in it. There was nothing like that. It was pure nutrition. And yes, in that case, gravy's good. But the traditional way to make gravy is deglaze the pan, boil off the liquid, and usually put some kind of a thickening agent in it, cornstarch or flour or something like that. And that's where you go wrong. So no, you don't want to do that. That will screw up a carnivore diet before you even get started.
Can
Put
you
melted
save
butter on top of something.
Can you save hamburger grease and bacon grease in the same container?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Somebody asked.
Yeah, I wouldn't. DS111, I call Chaffee our angel. Good. Yeah, Anthony Chaffee is a he's a good guy and very smart, and he is a man of his convictions. He has no doubt, not a single doubt, that anything he believes is the absolute truth. And so far, I'm right with him, because everything he believes, I believe, and it's worked great for me. Mitch, I did a chuck roast today. That was fabulous. All I did was drop the chuck roast in the slow cooker, added some salt, cooked it. Oh, you cooked it on high, yeah. Amazing. Yeah, it's you don't have to work real hard. We have a tendency to take food, which is fabulous by itself, and think we need to fancy it up to a point with all these different spices and things, where we never really even taste what the food tasted like. And it's only when you finally start eating the food without all that crap on it that you realize how delicious the actual beef and fish and shrimp and eggs and all these other things that we eat without putting hot sauce and Worcestershire sauce and barbecue sauce and sugar and molasses and every other kind of thing to feed the sweet tooth and the addictions. And it's getting harder and harder. I just want to buy some hot dogs to keep in the fridge in case I finish eating and I feel like, I need a little more. And everything else I got's in the freezer. Love to be able to just go grab a hot dog, throw it in the microwave, and heat it up.
About a boiled egg?
I don't like boiled eggs for some reason. Okay. I'm strange, man. I'm strange. I can only eat eggs as an omelet. That's it.
Not even fried, like sunny side up?
No. If it runs, I run.
Really?
I think when I was a kid, a runny egg bit me or something. I just can't stand. And my father used to love soft-boiled eggs, and the smell of a soft-boiled egg used to drive me out of the room. It took a long time before I would even eat an egg in an omelet. Now I love them, but and the same thing was true, believe it or not. I don't think I tasted pizza until I was like 12 years old.
Because
it had cheese on it.
And you didn't like cheese?
I was not a cheese fan. I was not a dairy person at all. I didn't like any of that stuff. And I don't even know why I didn't like it. I just was finicky, I suppose. I gained a lot of weight for a finicky eater, but because I was heavy as a kid. But no, your childhood screws you up like crazy. I'll tell you one thing: we did have we had no shortage of in my house was cookies. My mother was a cookie addict, and she had cabinets full of these cookies, and I was tall enough to get at them, unfortunately. Oh, Deborah says she's such a gravy lover. No. Oh, just a little bit of cornstarch, please. No.
Somebody said gravy and cheese. What was it? Somebody said some kind of cheese with gravy makes it.
I don't know.
Or cheese and some kind of sauce.
Well, Deborah, carnivore cooking.
Does anybody here go to the gym or try to go to the gym or get exercise the way Mitch does? Because I just recently started.
I think
this is my third week. Do they?
A lot of people do, Carlos. A lot of people do. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I learned how to do a correct push-up according to the the trainer there.
Let me tell you something. Correct push-up or not, you do any push-up, it's better than no push-ups.
And push down.
Even
right?
if your form is a little off. Jennifer's
45 pounds. Wow.
was 45 pounds. Good for you. Good for you. Went down 120. 5'7". Whoa. Dr. Baker said I needed to put muscle weights. I've been doing weights and pull-ups now, 124 pounds. Good for
Pull-ups.
you.
I do. Yeah, chin-ups. I've been practicing.
That's great.
It's funny. The other day, this guy came over. He goes, "Wow, you look good." He goes, "You look like you even have more hair."
Well, interestingly, I'm not growing any more hair.
I thought that was funny.
But I will tell you this, and this is interesting here. Look at my hair.
My hairs.
No, look at the color of my hair.
You using Grecian formula?
Carlos.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, look at the color of my hair. I'm 76 years old, and I swear
No gray, no
That-
dye rather.
my hair is actually darkening. I do have gray in my beard, but I've had that since I was in my 40s, and I still have some dark in my beard. But the hair around on the side of my head and my temples is starting to darken after a year and 2 months. My eyesight's getting better. It's like
That's what
I don't know
I'm
how
hoping.
else to describe it. I mean, I still sit in awe of some of the changes, especially the lack of joint pain. That's one of the big ones for me. It's like the fountain of youth. I mean, when Chaffee says we're programmed to live to be 120, so if you die in your 70s, you died 40 to 50 years too soon. And you didn't die from natural causes, you died from being poisoned slowly over 40 or 50 years. And I truly believe that's true. How much damage I did to myself over the 50 or 60 years of yo-yoing up and down, I don't know. And how much of that damage is going to basically shorten my lifespan, I don't know. But I do know that for those of you that are approaching my age or even older, then I don't have to explain to you what goes through your mind when you sit and think, holy shit, I'm almost 80 years old. And I used to, when I was in my 40s and somebody talked about an 80-year-old, they were just gone already. I mean, it's over. They were done at that age, wasting away in some nursing home somewhere with dementia. And I'm almost that age. And like I told you a week or two ago, I can make that claim and say I am almost 80. And I can make that claim because Shawn Baker made the claim that he's almost 60. And if Shawn Baker, who's 56, can claim he's almost 60, then I, who is 76, can make the claim that I'm almost 80. And it doesn't scare me to say that. 80 and 90 right now, if I can keep going like I'm going and do what I'm doing, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. And it'll be really interesting to see. I really would love to stick around for the long haul here. I would love to be sitting here at 100 years old, dropping down and doing 20, 25 push-ups and get back on the microphone and still saying, hey, look, my hair's still dark. We'll see. It's interesting. We have no other way of knowing. This is all too new to us.
I think about that with my mom. She's 89 plus. I wonder what she thinks about. And she well, forget it. That's a whole nother story with her diet. But she keeps going. She's like
Well, some people
she's very fortunate.
basically have their physiology is a little different where they can, they don't put on as much weight. There are people that can become obese and yet remain very metabolically healthy.
Well, she has the weight for sure.
There's people that they call it TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. There are people that, and Indian people with their diet of mostly vegetables and
No meats.
are very. I think I heard a statistic that said 90% of them are diabetic or pre-diabetic. It's
Wow.
unfortunate, and they.
I think
they get-
stress has a lot to do with also
Stress
your
is-
longevity.
Stress does. Stress is definitely a killer,
And I attribute my mom's long life because she's been single for the last, I don't know how many years.
let's not offend the married people here. Heard Asians and Indians are tofu. Jennifer, yeah, it's true when you think about the Indian food and their diet. It's very high in carbs. They use seed oils like crazy. You know, they're not using animal fats much anymore. And they do eat meat, but they don't eat a lot of beef. They have a lot of chicken dishes. But heavily spiced. And then of course the spice industry latches onto that and tells you what health benefits there are in all of these different spices. And they got people eating tablespoons of this stuff just because they think it's going to be healthy. All right, Ellie B. Hey, how you doing, Ellie? If someone hasn't already asked or answered, how do you kill the greasy spoon smell in the kitchen after cooking carnivore for a few months?
What do they call that? Febreze.
Febreze,
Open
I don't
windows.
know. I'd rather smell the greasy spoon smell than the Febreze. I hate the smell of that stuff.
I have an exhaust fan. That kind of helps.
I don't know. My kitchen. I still remember what my grandmother's house smelled like. I still have that smell in my memory. I think some of those from what you cook, it just becomes the way your house smells. I don't know what you can do about it. Yeah, I would imagine you have to spray clean and everything because that or keep your exhaust fan working real good and try to clean up after yourself.
You know what it is? It's things that are usually like things with material would probably hold on to smell more than a hard surface. I would
Probably
think.
curtains and things like that. At any rate, I can't help you. I mean, I'm not. I do cooking stuff, but I'm not Susie Homemaker, unfortunately.
Martha Stewart? No.
No, monkey. I've become almost obsessed with keeping the fats that for almost all my life I would drown. Yeah, I've got jars full of different fats, and the problem is I hardly ever use them. Most of the food that I cook has already got the fat in it that I want to eat. I don't eat a lot of lean stuff. I had some chicken wings today, but they have the skin, and there's a lot of fat in the skin. You can tell how much fat your food's got if you eat it with your hands because the grease is running down your face and dripping down your arms. So you're getting some fat in there. Indians eat a lot of turmeric. Yeah, they eat all that stuff.
And curry. Isn't curry part of
Curry,
that?
well, curry I think curry powder is a combination of 4 or 5 of those Indian type spices. I'm not that much of a gourmet cook. I bought a Cranktran does don't touch ground foldable freestanding pull-up bar. Oh, cool. Jennifer, you're
screwed into the
5'7",
wall.
124 pounds. You're becoming a jock. Terrific.
I want to say something real quick to DS111. He's I guess he does sheetrocking, and those things are pretty heavy, so he doesn't need to
Oh
work
God,
out.
yeah. I'm lifting. If I'm lifting sheetrock over my head, that's the last thing I need to do is be working my shoulders out.
But not only lifting it, but you got to hold it in place.
I know.
Screw gun in and all that.
And I watched. I was a builder. I was a contractor for a while. I watched a lot of those guys hanging that stuff. That and the guy that hauled the cinder blocks up the scaffolding. One
What
at a
I've been
time.
doing for the last 30 years is I'm in the aquarium business, and I clean fish tanks. So between lifting buckets with water or even just wax on, wax off, cleaning the algae off the glass and stuff, it keeps you going, it keeps you moving. So those kind of jobs, you're lucky because you don't have to work out. But I still wanted to go work out because Mitch goes to the gym. He's 76, so there must be something.
Yeah, I'm
good about it.
putting old Carlos to shame here.
Yeah, you're like my inspiration there.
David says, Ellie says to Dave, my meat smell laughs at my Yankee candle. Somebody told her to burn a Yankee candle, you'll get rid of the meat smell. That's funny. I don't notice it. I don't know why. I certainly do my share of frying up stuff in this house. I come in from the outside. I don't notice it. Maybe it's because I smoke cigars. Maybe I smell the cigar and but I don't smoke
But
cigars
you
in
do
the
that
house.
out. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I would never smoke a cigar in my house. I just won't do that. I have a screen porch out there, and I live in Florida, so very rarely does it get too cold to sit out there. I have a big TV out there. I sit out. That's where you find me. I sit out on my screen porch. I got either a tablet or a notebook computer or a cell phone in my hand doing something. I'm watching YouTube on the TV, and I'm smoking a cigar. What a life.
What I
What a
used
life.
for the first time was the ghee butter on a piece of steak on the frying pan.
That's good stuff. You know, it's like
Yeah.
drawn butter. It's I mean, if you're gonna have seafood, man, if you're gonna have lobster tail or shrimp or something, then you absolutely want ghee. So I see Monkey. Was that the last comment in the chat there?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see a lot of questions. Maybe because I don't have a lot of answers tonight. I did. I keep thinking, you know, when you do this like I'm doing, it's a challenge because you have to be like a one-man movie studio. You have to be a script writer, come up with a concept or an idea of a point you want to get across. Then you have to be a filmmaker because you have to somehow film it, and then you got to be an editor. You got to put it together in some presentable way. It has to make sense. It has to be entertaining, and then you got to be a marketing department. You have to figure out a way to get people to be interested in what you're doing, and then after that consideration, you have to run it by legal to make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to get you banned or repressed by YouTube or any of these other censors that are out there. And you go through all of that, and you finally get a video out. That's why it pisses you off when somebody starts criticizing it. You know, you think you think this is easy, do it.
Try it yourself, right?
Yeah, try it yourself. I seem to be getting some texts here, and I forgot to mute my phone, and I'm amongst friends here.
Victoria is
So,
90 days into her diet.
I got a couple of people that have volunteered to be guests on my show. Super great. I will get back to both of you. I got two of them so far. I think that would be fun. You know, I could do like all the other there's a lot of carnivore guys out there. A lot of great guys. I have trouble remembering all of their names, but they all get together. There's a whole crew, probably 8 or 10 of them, that get together in live streams of 3 or 4. I was on one of them. Larry's the carnivore soldier. I was on his live stream a week or two ago.
I saw that.
And every night when I'm looking through YouTube, there's a group of 3 or 4 of these people, and I think there's enough of that. I don't want to do that kind of thing. I try to make the videos that I make a little something different anyway, that doesn't just fit into the mold of another. Oh, here comes another one of those kind of videos, or another one of these kind of videos. And
Not too predictable.
no, people like to be entertained, and I guess I'm a clown at heart. Oh, I did.
Wayne has a question for you.
Okay.
He's new at carnivore, and he asks, are vegetables and fruit okay?
Well,
That's more of a keto, I would say. Right?
yeah, you have to, and I understand. If you're new, you wouldn't know the fine points that. I'm sitting on this little tiny chair, and the reason I'm sitting on this little tiny chair is because I have a green screen behind me. And for those of you that don't know what that means, it means that that is what's sitting behind me. and it's hanging from a bar that's held up behind me, and it's wider than it looks. But what that is it's for a feature called chroma key. And if I have a chair with a high back and I turn the chroma key on, then you'll see the high back covering a big part of the door. Or if I do a scene where I'm sitting in front of the computer monitor like this one, you'll see that the chair when all I want is my silhouette. So I have this low back little tiny office chair. It's the most uncomfortable thing on the planet, and I sit on it. So I hope you guys understand the sacrifice that I make here. Personal sacrifice to entertain you.
You have a question by Don.
Wait a minute, I haven't answered the last question yet.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I got off on one of my famous tangents, which I do. You want to know if fruit and honey is okay on carnivore? Yes. There's a definition of these words that people have attributed to the meaning of what you mean when you say carnivore, ketovore, keto. Now, these are arbitrary words that somebody just made up. It's not written down in some ancient religious text anywhere that, this shall be considered carnivore, God said, nothing like that. But the traditional acceptance of the terms that are used is all based on how many grams, total grams, not net grams. Net grams is a marketing fraud. So you just never think about anything in net grams. Just let somebody put garbage in a box and claim it's keto friendly when it's just as bad as all the other boxed up crap in the grocery store and addictive as hell. Keto, which is a ketogenic diet, which is a diet that allows you to go into ketosis. And you only go into ketosis when you're not eating sugar. And you can eat up to 20 grams of total carbs a day on a keto diet. Some people still can't go into ketosis at 20 grams and have to go less, but it's a good place to start. Ketovore is halfway between keto and carnivore, and that's 10 grams a day of total carbohydrates, which is not a whole lot of broccoli or Brussels sprouts, and certainly no fruit or honey. Mm-hmm. One piece of fruit will probably eat up your whole carb allowance for the day, and then you have to be very wary of the kind of sugar that's in it, because different sugars metabolize differently and damage different things. Fructose is very bad for the liver. Glucose spikes your blood sugar. Galactose, which is the third simple sugar, which is in lactose in milk, is also take you right out of ketosis if you get enough of that. So carnivore means no carbohydrates, period. Now, you're going to get carbohydrates because even meat has some carbs in it. An egg has a carbohydrate in it. But nothing that's a sugar and nothing that's going to keep you from having a fat-burning metabolism instead of sugar. And we use the term fat burning and sugar burning, but that's not the right word to use because we don't burn things for energy in our body. So no, now Paul Saladino, who has the YouTube name Carnivore MD, a couple of years ago decided he needed to start eating hundreds of grams a day of honey and fruit, and caused an uproar. And they're still talking about that. Here's a guy that lives in Costa Rica that's a younger guy, fit as hell, surfs 3-4 hours every day, active like crazy, and who knows what kind of metabolism he has, and if this might actually work for him. But for the average person living the average life, you start eating 300-400 grams of fruit and honey a day, you're going to weigh 400 pounds before you know it. So one of the greatest, and I'll go a little bit further on this one because it brings up a lot of good points.
Okay, two
Points that I
questions.
just-
One
what's
before.
that?
One question is Danye. He's going for his blood test on Thursday. How many hours did you fast before you did your test?
At least 12 to 14 hours.
12 to 14 hours.
And do not drink any coffee before your blood test.
It's all clear liquids, I thought.
You just water if you have to, but no, nothing. Fast means fast. You can drink water, but do not drink coffee.
Okay, Frances LaBelle says her husband has been on carnivore for 6 weeks, lost 35 pounds. Sometimes he feels dizzy. Do you know why? Or any idea why?
I would have no way of knowing. It's possible if he's on any kind of medication, especially blood pressure medication, that he needs to get weaned off of it, which is something he needs to do with his doctor knowing about it. You can't just, many medications, you just can't just quit cold turkey. Some of them you can, but
That's what you did, didn't you? You went from a pill to half to a quarter.
yeah,
or
yeah, I
something like
weaned
that?
myself. I weaned myself off it, but I knew what I was doing. But and I had a blood pressure cuff. Then I took my blood pressure a couple times a day to make sure that I was on top of what I was doing. And what happened was it took 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, and my blood pressure was normal again. And I had to get off of the medications because my blood pressure was becoming too low. Because if you've got normal blood pressure and you're taking blood pressure medications, it's going to drive it. It's going to drive it down, and you don't want to do that. So
Makes sense.
that might be it. I don't know if he's doing that. What else might make him feel lightheaded or dizzy? Hard to say. I don't know how old he is, how much weight. It's like calling a doctor on the phone and saying, "Hey doc, I got a pain in my back. What's wrong with me?" Well, he's going to say, "Yeah, come in and see me." And then you'll fill out 400 forms, and then he'll look at you, and then he'll order lab tests, and then he still won't know what's wrong with you, but at least you think he's onto it. My best guess on that. If he has, I don't know if he has any kind of sugar problems. It might be low blood sugar, but that has to be looked at by a doctor. It might be blood pressure. Those are generally the two main things that will cause you to feel weak, is low sugar and low blood pressure. But there's a million other sneaky little things it could be. Yes.
No, I said there's other potential stuff, I guess. What I've tried recently is avocados, which I know it's not a carnivore. I'm more of a keto guy.
Yeah, you do it. Anyway, here's a LEB says she heard the coffee will cause your triglycerides. Yeah, I think I said that in my video because somebody told me that. That's like, I don't know how many urban legend steps that took to get to me, but I think I heard it on a Ken Berry video sometimes. Speaking of Ken Berry, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but on my little rant video, he left a comment on my video. I pinned it. It's a top comment on that video. And he's a funny guy. He says, something like, "You need to cook me breakfast very soon," he says. My answer to him was, "Let me know the next time you're in Central Florida." And I said, this whole thing is partly your fault, I said to him. And the reason I said that was, and a lot of you probably don't know this, but this channel of mine is less than 2 months old. And I had decided to start doing this, and they had a keto convention in Orlando, which is about an hour from me, and Ken was supposed to speak there, and so was his wife. And I said, let me run over there for the day and see what it's all about. Because now I'm going to be a carnivore YouTuber. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had this old drone channel with about 1,300 subscribers, and I was going to just change the name of it. And so I said, I'm just going to go on like a little fact-finding mission to find out if this is something that... And I had made one video. I think I had made the video where I walked on, the one where I was walking on the beach, the first one, that says I'll start the diet again on Monday. because that was the story of my life. And I go into the hotel where the I call it a convention, but where the exhibitions were, and they had classrooms set up, and they had two crazy ketos were there, and Dave Feldman was there, and a number of other of the YouTube influencers were there. And I'm sitting waiting and I got there the morning they were setting it up, and I was early because I drove over there before the rush hour. And I'm sitting out in a coffee. They have a little coffee cafe thing at the end of the hallway that leads down to where the exhibition room and everything was. And I'm sitting there. I'm just kind of drinking a cup of coffee, and who walks up but Ken Berry and his wife, Nisha. And I joked, I told a story somewhere in a video, and I joked, and I said, well, I don't know if I actually assaulted him or accosted him or not. But I went up to him, and I just started talking. I mean, Nisha says, I got to go get ready for my speech, and she took off, and there's me and Ken Berry standing there, and the guy I'm 5'10", he's like 6'3". He's a big man, and nicest guy, he's just a genuine, nice human being. And everything that you think he is from his videos is true. He cares, and it's not put on. It's real. It's real care. And we started talking, and we talked for quite a while, and I told him about my what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it, and the fact that at my age, I think that I have something to offer the community, that people that are getting older can see what somebody that's their age or older can accomplish, and that it's not too late, because that's the main message of my channel is it's never too late. And he was very encouraging to me. He pretty much talked me into it, okay? He talked me into it. He basically said, we need this. We need more people spreading this word, because that's the only way this is ever going to take hold. We're still a tiny little minority. If you want to, in this video I'm going to make about Ancel Keys, I'm going to show a few scenes where I Google Ancel Keys. When you see what comes up, it'll make you sick. They still portray Ancel Keys as a hero, as a man who figured out that red meat and saturated fat causes heart attacks, and they credit him for saving all these lives, when in reality, he has killed hundreds of millions of people with his advice. His advice is the reason why we're all sugar addicts, fat and diabetics, and have heart disease, dementia, and Alzheimer's. Because we've been poisoned, because we're not getting enough red meat or fat or saturated fat because of Ancel Keys, and they still want to give this guy, he's dead, of course, but they still want to, call him a hero. That's how sick and twisted the common knowledge and conventional wisdom is about medicine. When you've got all the doctors, all the universities, everybody who preaches to everybody else signed on to this misinformation, and then they have the nerve to censor us because they call the message that we're putting out there misinformation, it makes you want to scream. It makes you want to scream. And if you don't believe me, just go ahead and Google Ancel Keys, Ancel Keys, not ES, but Keys, and it will make you mad. And that's what it takes. In fact, I tell anybody that asks my advice about this diet, I said the biggest help to you will be your own anger at the system for the damage they've done, not only to you, but to the people that you love and the loved ones that you had that died way before their time because they took this advice you should be mad as hell, because that anger equates to conviction. And that's the reason people fail on these diets, is their conviction isn't strong enough. The instant their doctor says to them, well, you need to be on a statin because, your cholesterol's a little high. We don't like it that high. That causes heart attacks. You see this guy with the fancy, clean, starched white coat with the embroidered name on it and MD after his name, and he's got that stethoscope just draped right over his neck like he's on TV, and he's telling you that meat and beef is bad for you, and that Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and Reese's peanut butter cups
Lucky
are
Charms.
health food, and
Lucky
Lucky
Charms.
Charms is the healthiest food in the world according to Tufts University, and they believe it. That's the part that I have a hard time understanding. I can understand a con man who can lie and convince you he's telling the truth, but somebody who just spouts shit that doesn't make sense and believes it, that's where I marvel. I marvel at stupidity that great. And people who have no desire to analyze anything or say to themselves, there's something about this shit that just doesn't make sense. They don't do that. They follow the company line, and the company's got them under their thumb too. The company's got them under their thumb because they license them. They insure them. All of these departments of professional regulation and all of these big insurance actuaries, they have to have their doctors following what's called the standard of care. And if they don't follow the standard of care, they could be open to lawsuits by any one of those 1,000 or more whores that come on morning news every morning holding up big checks for $1 million, telling you how I was in an accident and this attorney got me $18 trillion. Thank you, Dan. We've all seen it. We see it 8 times every 5 minutes on the morning news. Well, those guys are also in the chain of blame for everything that's wrong with this system we have today. It's so corrupt and so out of control. I don't know how anybody can fix it. So what we have to do is just hunker down, make sure we can at least get meat somewhere, and take care of ourselves and our family if they'll even listen to us. That's a harder thing to take care of than yourself, because they're also listening to the doctors and the teachers and the dietitians and the lunch lady at school who's saying, here's pizza and French fries. And the U.S. government says this is a nutritious lunch, and they set what we have to serve you.
Not good. Anyway, Mitch, remember I was talking about doing a video about going out to eat and figuring out how to do it carnivore? Somebody just asked, does anybody know XY if there's a restaurant that's carnivore friendly or something to that effect? So I guess
I'll tell you what my son and I do. My son, I don't eat out. I'm an old bachelor. I'm set in my ways now. I actually enjoy the hell out of my life. Smoke a cigar, cook my food. I like having you guys in the kitchen with me when I cook. That's becoming a thing. We go out to lunch once a week. My son is a big guy too. He's 6'3", and he's inherited it from me, I guess, and my daughter too. Had a weight problem all their life, and he's doing carnivore right now, like I'm doing carnivore. But he's got a family and they travel, and it's so tough when you have a life that active, and he's in business, and he's going out to lunch with people and breakfast with people all the time, and it's very hard to stick to it when everybody around you is eating all the crap until you've been on it for a while, and then you actually, it started raining like hell out.
I hear that.
Cool. Yeah. You lose the desire after 6 months on this, or maybe between 6 months and a year. I can go to a birthday party where everybody around me is eating ice cream and cake, and I don't even have a desire to eat it anymore, which to me is a miracle worthy of an angel chorus actually singing hallelujah in the background. I mean, I'm not a religious guy, but it's almost like a religious experience for me to be around that much crap, or even better than that, being around freshly baked rye bread and bagels. That was my downfall. I don't care to eat that stuff anymore. I go for the meat now. I go for the bacon. I go for the eggs. It's very satisfying to me now. And your physiology does change. And your body rewards you for giving it what it needs. And it stops tormenting you with all this other stuff. And a lot of people have experienced that. And you have to stick it out long enough to get to that point. And that's where most people fail. Because they're either co-opted or they're too addicted to the carbs, and the cravings get the best of them. There are simple things you can do, but you seem to, there's an old saying that goes, when you're up to your ass in alligators, you forget the objective was to drain the swamp. You know what that means? So when you're surrounded by cheesecake and everybody else at your dinner table is eating dessert, you forget that the main objective is to try to make sure you stuff enough bacon down your throat to make the cravings go away. And
I was thinking you can go out and eat bacon and eggs. You don't need all the rest of toast, the home fries and things like that.
That's the problem. They look at you like you're crazy when you tell them.
Who cares?
So my son and I, the heart of the story is my son and I always go to a barbecue place. Mm-hmm. And most barbecue places will sell meat by the pound. Brisket, pulled pork, some kind of just meat. And we joke with the waiter and we say, we want meat with a side of meat. You want bread? No bread. You want this? No. You want that? No. You want gravy? No. You want that? No. Potatoes, French fries? No.
But that's okay.
Meat with a side of meat. Bring us a pound of brisket and a half a pound of pulled pork. Or if they actually have chicken wings that are smoked and not deep fried in canola oil, okay, you can have them too. Any kind of smoked meat. Now, they are going to put rubs on their meats. They are going to put some spices. Is it perfect carnivore? No. Does it have some plant shit in the spices? Yes. But once a week, I allow myself to eat some of that stuff. There are a few places we've gone to where they overdo it with the spices, and I could tell. I mean, it screwed me up for a day or two. But we have some places that we go to, and it's fairly clean, and it allows us to have lunch together. And I drink water in those places, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy with the food. You can go to any of the hamburger places, like McDonald's, Wendy's, Five Guys. They all have a la carte menus, and I think it's a buck something for a quarter-pound patty. And you can get 2, 3, or 4. If you get 4 quarter-pound patties, you got a pound of beef, which is a meal. And they'll hand you the patties in a styrofoam container, and you got beef. And so anywhere you are in the continental United States, you can actually eat and not starve to death, as long as you can find a McDonald's or a Burger King or a Wendy's or one of those places, and just get some a la carte quarter-pound patties. And interestingly enough, more people are starting to do this. More people are going keto. More people are going carnivore these days. Regardless of how they're trying to censor the word and tell everybody how bad this is, there are just too many people miraculously healing everything that their doctor told them was incurable. You just can't keep having miracles like that, without somebody saying maybe there's something to this. And interesting enough, it's not a miracle. There's no magic to it. There's no mystery. There's no religion involved. It's basic chemistry. And, I marvel at how they can get it so wrong when everything is so obvious. Number one, what are we made out of? What is our muscle? What is it? If it was removed from our body, and put down on a butcher block in front of you with no skin on it, what would your muscle look like?
It's pretty rude.
What
But I
would it
get
look
you.
like? What would it look
Meat,
like?
piece of meat.
It would look like a hunk of sirloin or filet mignon or something like that. It would look like a loin. You'd slice it up and throw it on a barbecue. It's meat. We are food for other predators. A bear will eat you. A pig will eat you. An alligator will eat you.
Thinking of the movie Survive now.
There are no a shark will eat. There is no shortage of people that look at a human being and say,
Tastes like chicken.
tastes like chicken. Nutrition. It's what they evolved. It's meat. We are meat. Doesn't it make sense that if you're going to eat something to be used as building materials to build up your own meat, wouldn't you think the best place to get those building materials would be from meat? Meat has everything in it that we're made of. Plants have nothing that we're made of. We are not plants. So there are certain animals called ruminant animals that have multi-chambered stomachs that chew their cud, vomit it out, eat it again, eat their feces, do all kinds of stuff to recycle whatever nutrients are in these plants, let bacteria act on it, which we don't have. They talk about bacteria in our gut, but we don't have a hindgut like ruminant vegan animals do that can actually turn the stuff that's in plants into meat. Their place in nature is to take the vegetarian food, convert it into meat, so that the carnivores eat it. That's how it works. That's how it's worked ever since life crawled out of the sea. You know?
I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the chats.
What
I
do they
think
say?
you're grossing somebody out.
I'm sorry, but...
No. It's just funny.
It's
XY said something to... I actually Googled... supposedly McDonald's burgers and all these burgers are 100% beef. They don't add anything.
They're evidently, from everything I've heard, they are quality meat, and they're good for you. And
No additives.
And you could probably, it's not the hamburgers in McDonald's that are killing people. It's the bread and the French fries and the milkshakes and the sauces and the ketchup and all the sugar. The beef is perfectly healthy. If you got rid of everything else, McDonald's would be a health food restaurant. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You reminded me when you started talking about eating people. My silly joke is two cannibals are eating this person, eating a man. One starts at the head, one starts at the feet. One says, "Man, I'm having a ball." The other one says, "You're eating too fast." Sorry.
I wish I had my sound. I used to have a sound effects machine. I used to have a sound effect. I could come up with a chorus of booze. Yeah, you got to be careful. I see Jennifer says Whataburger uses vegetable oils when grilling. Why the hell would you need any oil to grill a hamburger? Why would you need to cook something in grease that has all that fat already in it? I guess they want to brown it faster. That's the same reason we cook a steak in butter, I suppose. But most of these places just throw the hamburgers on the grill. And as far as the seed oils go, we're all gonna have to accept a certain tiny amount of that stuff, and a certain tiny amount of that stuff, like anything else.
If you eat out, yeah.
The dose is in the poison. The dose is the poison, and a tiny little bit of vegetable oil, after all the vegetable oil we consumed in our lifetime, is not going to do that much more damage. What was the movie, Alive or something, about the soccer? Oh,
yeah, Alive. Yeah. That's the one that I was thinking. Or Survive, rather. I think it was Survive.
But stuff it either makes sense or it doesn't make sense. And the low carb diet always made sense to me ever since Atkins wrote the book, and that was 1972. That was 51 years ago.
I don't know, but I remember going to McDonald's a few months back, and it's very expensive for what you get. It's not even worth going there when you can get a nice piece of meat at Sam's Club or wherever you shop.
Yeah, if you want to cook it yourself. But if you happen to be traveling or you happen to be out and
Yeah.
you feel like you got to eat. Another great thing about being on carnivore or keto is you're not you don't have to be 2 hours away from your next meal all the time or snack. See, when you're living on sugar, you have to eat a lot and eat often because you burn up that sugar, the glycogen. But when you're metabolizing fat and you're a meat eater, you go a whole day without eating and you forget about it. You say, "Oh shit, I haven't eaten since yesterday." You never get that hungry. You never get so. I have never been like this. I never say, "Oh God, I'm so hungry. I'm starving to death. I need to eat. I need to eat. I need to eat." I have to make a decision, even when I think I might be hungry. Every day, it might be 20 hours since I had my last food, and I still have to almost say, "Do I really should I eat?" And then I say to myself, "You better eat because you need to eat." When you have to start talking yourself into eating, you know you're on the right path because your body's doing just fine. Your body is doing its job. It's metabolizing. It's going along. It's making energy. You don't feel hungry. You don't feel anxious. You don't worry about where's my next meal coming from. This is how the cavemen must have had to feel. When you imagine that you did not know where your food was coming from tomorrow. I mean, imagine that. Imagine you're sitting in your living room at night not knowing if you're going to eat tomorrow. With our state of mind, the way we are these days, the anxiety would kill us. We would be pacing the floor. We would be up all night. We would be anxious and panicking about. But the caveman, they killed something and they all ate all they could, and then when they were satisfied they stopped eating, and maybe they could save some, but they had no ways to preserve their food. They had to go out and hunt again tomorrow, and there's a chance when they go out and hunt that maybe they won't succeed. I don't think they worried about it. I don't think they because if they did fail the next day, their metabolism was so fine-tuned that the body fat that they had on them was like having fuel in the gas tank. It's like going on a long drive in your car, and behind your car you're towing a trailer with 1,000 gallons of fuel in it. You're not going to worry about running out of gas. You're carrying it with you. And when you become a carnivore and you become fat adapted, you begin to have that fuel supply with you. And running out of fuel, it doesn't panic you anymore. You never get to that feeling where, oh my God, we're getting anxiety. These people who buy electric cars, they get that anxiety. They call it range anxiety. Have you heard that, Carlos?
No, but I saw a video with a guy with an electric car, and he had a gas-powered generator, so he could
Yeah,
charge.
yeah.
So he could charge.
I know. Well, what happens is there's some, and it's very real.
20.
There's a gas station on every corner. So you're driving around in your car. You don't think about, well, what would happen if I ran out of gas and couldn't get any? But in an electric car, these charge stations are few and far between, and half of them are out of order when you get there.
You have to plan
So you
your
drive
trip.
50 miles out of your way to get to a charge station, and you pull up, and it's either full of people whose cars are taking 8 hours to charge. Imagine waiting 8 hours at a gas pump for your turn, okay? And or you get there and you plug the charger into your car and it lights up and says out of order. Or even worse, your car will accept 350 watts of charge, and this particular charger will deliver 10. And it lights up and tells you your car will be fully charged in 4 days and 12 hours. And you're out in the middle of nowhere. Well, this is what these people experience, and they gave it a name. Because when you're driving in this car, you concentrate on that how many miles to empty thing. You obsess on it. You worry about it. You keep trying to plan ahead to make sure that you readjust your whole entire life to make sure you'll be able to charge up your car. And they call it range anxiety. And it's a real thing. And it's the reason why I'm not ready for an electric car. Now, if all you do is have a charger in your garage and drive around the city, great. If you never
That's what
drive
they're
more
made
than
for.
50 miles a day, 100 miles, you got the range. But if you want to set out on a road trip or you're a person that travels on business, don't buy an electric car. All right, how do we get on that one?
No, I heard they're actually better in the city because also with the regenerative brakes, the stop
Well,
and go, it actually
yeah,
helps charge.
yeah,
But
I
for
don't
long
know.
trips, not that
I'm
good.
not going to pay $100,000 for a $50,000 car just because it saves me $300 a month in gas.
Yeah.
We're not ready for that yet. That's just another.
Especially in a big city. I live in New York, and there's apartment buildings. I can't see where everybody's going to charge their.
It's crazy. It's nuts.
Makes no sense.
Anyway, we're not an electric car channel. We're a carnivore channel. But there's a lot of similarities because we're talking about using energy efficiently, and we carnivores do that. We use energy very efficiently, and
And eat less.
there's a reason why the body works the way it does. Why we store our spare energy as fat. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why the sugar is basically stored as glycogen for short-term use. But the stuff we put away for when we really need it is fat. And when we can metabolize that fat or get at it, and that's the reason why we're so screwed up, because of insulin. And I'm sure everybody's heard this stuff, but I don't know how many people truly understand what the hormones do and how it affects all this stuff. But basically, insulin has a number of different jobs in the body. Its most important job is to keep the blood sugar controlled within a certain range, glucose. And it does that by opening up GLUT4 transporters into the cells and pulling sugar molecules out of the bloodstream into the cells, and there's trillions of cells. And that's how blood sugar gets lowered. It doesn't get lowered because the sugar's eaten up or anything. It gets lowered because the sugar is basically allowed to go into the cells when insulin tells these transporters, okay, open the door. Blood sugar goes down. Insulin production is triggered by a rise in blood sugar, and that makes sense. You start eating a lot of sugar, it gets into your bloodstream through your intestines, and the blood sugar's up. Pancreas is triggered to release insulin. Insulin goes out through the bloodstream and affects and tells these doors, they become the doormen of the cells, says, let some sugar in, we got to get it out of the bloodstream, we got too much sugar in the bloodstream. If it continues, this person's going to go into a hyperglycemic coma. If we let it get too low, he's going to become hypoglycemic, and that's going to kill him too. So we have to control this sugar range. So all this sugar goes into the cells, but the insulin also does one other thing. It's triggered because the body's taking on a lot of extra energy. So it says to the fat cells, listen, fat cells, close the doors to the fat in there, because we've already got more energy than we need coming in the form of glucose right now. And we try to save that fat in the fat cells. We're trying to conserve it. So don't let any of that out into the bloodstream. Now, it's a lot more complicated than that, because we store triglycerides in our fat cells. They have to be converted into free fatty acids before they can pass through the transporters, get out of the fat cells, then they become triglycerides again, and then they get in the blood. It's a whole chemical cascade of chemical changes and pathways. But the final result is the insulin tells the fat cell, shut the doors. Save your fat. We don't need the energy now. So if you keep eating sugar and keep eating sugar, and you get hyperinsulinemic, where your insulin is always at a high level, that means your fat cells are always in one-way mode, and that is let fat in but don't let it out. So no matter how much energy you have stored on your body, you can't use it because your insulin is high. So you get starving to death, and you get cravings, and you have to eat more sugar, even though you're carrying enough of energy on you that you could live for a year, because you got so much weight you're carrying around. The insulin will not let your fat cells give it up. The only place and you need energy to live, but you can't burn your own energy, the stored stuff. You can't get to your own gas tank, so you got to eat more, and that's a self-feeding cycle that makes it impossible to lose weight by any traditional means. You have to do whatever it takes to get your insulin to come down, to become insulin sensitive again. And then what's even worse is you become what they call insulin resistant. You have so much insulin that the cells basically start ignoring the insulin signals, and then you're really stuck. And the only way to do that is not to eat sugar, period. And it'll fix it. And depending on how bad you are, it might take more time. But you have to stop eating carbohydrates. And that's why the carnivore diet is much better than the keto diet, in my opinion. Not that I have anything against the keto diet, but the keto diet, in my opinion, continues to buoy up the carb cravings, because it allows you to keep going after these foods that mimic the foods you really like. You know, we're going to have some keto pizza and some keto bread and some keto pound cake and some keto mashed potatoes. And you're eating this stuff. And how are you going to get used to not eating that stuff when you keep eating versions of that stuff which aren't the same? And that just leads you back into a sugar binge.
I think that's the key, is the sugar part, the sweet.
Well, but you see, it's not sweet. It doesn't have to be sweet. I was addicted to bread. To me, it was starches that were more addictive to me than sugars. It's sugar, though. What do you think a starch is?
Well, I know that, but when you don't feel the sweet in your mouth, the actual sensation of sweet.
That's one part of it. That's just one part of it. And you can actually gain weight without even eating sugar, just by eating artificial sweeteners. There's something called the cephalic phase response. You've all heard people talk about that. Just the sweet taste tells your brain, let's get the insulin ball rolling because sugar is imminent. And that sweet taste, you can walk by a bakery and gain weight, and gain weight, because you can trigger a cephalic phase response by walking outside of a bakery, smelling that, and your body ramps up. It starts a chemical cascade of events that start releasing insulin into your bloodstream, getting ready for the sugar that it's anticipating from the stimulation of the smell or the sweet taste. And now you've got insulin levels rising in your body, and they start doing damage, and they shut off the fat cells, and the next thing you know, you've screwed up your diet. It's crazy how all this works. But we have all this machinery for a reason. And it all has a reason. None of it's there by accident. Every last reaction in our body, and there are millions of them going on, hundreds of thousands of times a second, every one of those has a root in evolutionary history that added a survival benefit to the organism. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And the only way that you can ever really know what's going on is to just do deep dives into why does this work the way it does? What possible benefit could that have had millions of years ago in animals that even predated mammals? You know, because most of what we have goes back hundreds of millions of years. Like our eyes. I mean, animals had eyes hundreds of million years ago. Fish have eyes. Insects have eyes. So eyes have been around an awful long time. Now, they change a little and they evolve a little, but basically there's an ancient reason why we have eyes. In the book that I wrote, I devoted a chapter just to explain what I thought was the evolutionary pathway of eyes, and how in single cell organisms something mutated and formed the first things that were photosensitive to light, and gave that little creature a survival advantage. And that was the beginning of a chain of events that ended up with our eyes the way we are today. Do you ever wonder why most animals only have two eyes? I know this stuff sounds crazy, but this is stuff I think about, and it makes me believe and understand why what I'm doing is right. And that's the prime point of all of this stuff, is we have to really believe we're on the right track, that this is not some wacko, crazy fad diet thing that's going to kill us. We have to understand deep down that
when you see the results, that should speak for itself.
we're the only people on the planet right now that are, other than some of these remote tribes that have come up, after all these hundreds of thousands of years, this is what they know. So they do it just out of sheer instinct. But all of this stuff that we do, every action and reaction we have, every emotion that we have, everything has an origin in something that helped one of our ancient ancestors. I was talking about eyes. How come a housefly has two eyes? A mouse has two eyes. We have two eyes. Just about all mammals have two eyes.
So we could look to the left
nose.
and the right.
Listen to this. Think about this for a second. Look at the face of just about any mammal. You have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, two ears, a neck, a brain. I mean, it's uncanny. Every animal has all that in common with us. And what that means in simple terms is that animal and us came from the same predecessor at some point back in history. And they call that the last common ancestor. And every species, every animal, every living thing, their genealogy can be traced back to a last common ancestor with every other living thing on the planet. And some of these last common ancestors might go back to the Ediacaran or Cambrian times of 550 million years ago, where there was some little bacteria swimming around in pond scum somewhere that was a common ancestor between you, me, and every other living thing on the planet, Carlos. And it actually is so fascinating. It's why I study this stuff. You can go back to a single cell bacteria. I don't know if I'm going way deep diving here, but to me this stuff is just adds a reality to life. It takes a lot of the mystery out of it when you study the anthropology, the paleoanthropology, evolution, and that kind of thing. Most people know what mitochondria are. You know what mitochondria are, Carlos?
Is it a single-celled animal?
Well, no. Mitochondria are what they call organelles. And each one of our cells has hundreds of these little mitochondria, and they're little organelles, and they're called the powerhouses of our cells. That's where cellular respiration takes place, in the mitochondria. That's where the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the water we drink all comes together to perform to generate what's called adenosine triphosphate, which is ATP. That's the body's currency of energy. Okay? It goes through many cycles. It goes through the Krebs cycle, goes through the electron transport chain, and anyway, the final and out. And I could sit here and draw it out on a blackboard for you. Every chemical reaction, every molecule, and what it ends up doing is it creates by basically what's called a proton pump that transfers protons across the membrane of the mitochondria. It creates these adenosine triphosphate molecules, and those molecules power life, okay? The mitochondria in our cells, I think they say it was about 550 million years ago. There were no multi-celled organisms yet. There were no plants yet. There were no animals yet. This is only 550 million years ago. There were only bacteria and fungus, okay? These single-celled organisms did not have a nucleus like our cells do. They were called prokaryotes. Prokaryotes were ancient cells. The cells like we have in our body are called eukaryotes, and they have a nucleus. And it is theorized that at one time, 550 years ago or so, somewhere on this planet, a single cell bacteria ate another bacteria as food, because they absorbed them. And that the single bacteria that ate the other the bacteria that got eaten, for some reason, did not get taken apart and dissolved as food. It lived on inside this other bacteria, okay? And it became the predecessor, and it started a symbiotic relationship where this bacteria that was living inside the other bacteria, almost like a tapeworm living inside of a human, it did something. It donated something that helped the other bacteria live, and they formed a symbiotic relationship. And the genetics modified, and they started reproducing these organisms with other organisms inside, and that was the precursor to the first eukaryote cell, which is what we are, where you had a nucleus, and these organelles are the remnants of that first thing that was eaten, and that's why the mitochondria in our cells all have completely separate DNA and genetics from the genetics that are in the nucleus of our cells. And that's called mitochondria DNA. And at that point, that one bacteria, okay, that one bacteria that ate the other bacteria became the great-grandfather of every living thing on this planet. And if you could manage somehow to trace our lineages back 550 million years, which would be impossible, they would all end up back at that one point. And if that one bacteria 550 million years ago hadn't have gobbled up that other bacteria, none of this would be here today. None of it.
All I know is you're turning on LEB. That's what I'm seeing here. All this.
I'm turning her what?
You're turning her on by all this talk.
Well, this is to me this is the kind of stuff I wish I heard in school. I wish I had a teacher or a lecturer that could put the fascination and wonder in the reality of how in the hell all this stuff actually came to be. But I never heard of it, and I've had that fascination all my life, which is what's driven me to be a veritable, I used to call it a shithouse of trivia. I just know all this shit, you know? Anyway, wow, I'm talking my ear off here, let alone everybody else. But I tell you, we still got people hanging around, so
you do.
Obviously I'm not boring. I'm not boring them too bad. At any rate,
oh, by the way,
I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys enjoy when I go off on these little tangents, but to me, these are the things that just, they're food for thought, but they also completely reinforce all of the biology that I've learned. I know where I've learned where it all comes from and why it works the way it does. And that allows me to be confident and tell my doctor he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And look him right in the eye and scare the shit out of him when it happens, because he knows I'm right. Because I start talking about this shit to him, and he's never learned this stuff. And I'll deep dive into cellular biology with these quote medical professionals that only know how to write prescriptions because the book says, if they got this disease, prescribe that medicine. You know, you cannot be a healer and a doctor without having the ability to analyze and think. How the hell can you diagnose anything? That's basically just troubleshooting. And in order to troubleshoot a machine, you better be intimately knowledgeable about the workings of that machine, or you can't troubleshoot it. You can't just go to a book and says, well, if the red light's on, unplug this. You know, that's the society we're becoming replaceable by robots and artificial intelligence, unfortunately. MedMD on the internet can do a better job diagnosing you than your own doctor can anymore. That's scary to me.
That's why I just don't go to the doctor.
Because who programs that shit? Anyway, guys.
Nobody wants to be quizzed, by the way, just for the record. They've mentioned that.
Doing great,
Please.
not boring. Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else think that, well, I guess if I was boring everybody, they'd be going away, and we're hanging in there right around 100 people, so that's great.
Just no quizzes.
No, listen, it's absolutely mind-blowing. You know, they think they make movies today that are interesting. I'd rather watch a well-presented, there are some guys out there, some that make YouTube videos that they know how to make this stuff spellbinding, and you watch it like you just get engrossed in it, like like you do in a movie, waiting to find out how does it work, what happened, how did that happen, how did this happen, and the science that we have today of isotope analysis and the archaeology and the growing number of fossils that we have that put a lot of the pieces together. Just keep filling in more of the unknowns, and a lot of it is still unknown, but we've gotten pretty clever, and that's why I wonder, with all that intelligence we have to analyze all of this information that we're finding, and we still think that Lucky Charms are better for you than a steak, you know?
That was pretty funny, actually. Incredible.
I mean, you know.
Well, look, with what you're saying, that's exactly in 16 years? I've been to the doctor once for a checkup.
Well, I go every year to the VA.
If my body doesn't hurt or say something, I'm good.
The only reason I keep my ties to the medical community is in case I have an accident.
Other than a dentist, actually.
In case I have an accident, like when I hurt my head, I needed to be taken care of, and I needed to be repaired. Right. You know, I don't mind if a talented surgeon repairs my broken body. I just don't want him regulating my ancient physiology that knows how to do its job much better than he ever will. And the programming that we have that has been fine-tuned over hundreds of millions of years knows how to do its job better, knows every interaction of every system with every other system. I can go on for days like that. At any rate, that's enough for tonight, I think, guys. I had fun. I always have fun in these things. I don't like to structure them too much.
That's the idea.
I've got a few emails, and maybe we'll start getting some guests in here. We'll just keep doing this and let it turn into whatever it's going to turn into. I saw somebody in the chat. People were asking me all these questions. They said, he's not a doctor. And
well, you say that all the time.
We got plenty of doctors out there, answering questions like this, and I think that this kind of stuff is going to be interesting to a certain number of people. So I hope that
it's a good support group too. To know that you're not alone and you have other people out there, and then you can ask questions at the same time.
So anyway, guys, I'll let Carlos say goodnight first.
Good night, guys. Thanks for having me,
Minimalist
Mr.
Carnivore's
Mitch.
here. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, he's been here for a while.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, all right. Mitch, always a pleasure. We'll talk. Everyone else, eat meat.
Eat meat, man. And get a T-shirt, man. Link in the description. Look at that. Look at that, boy.
I'll leave that up to you. Goodbye, everyone.
Look at this, man. Look at that. I'm telling you. I'm going to wear this shirt everywhere. All right. I guess Carlos is gone. And that just leaves me. So thanks for coming, guys. I always hate to close it down when I got, 100 people in the house, but 2 hours is enough of this. So, Sun Edge Wayne, some of these guys have been around. Randy, nice shirt. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Some of these people have been here the whole night. That's great. That's great. Monkey, Grant, Minimalist, Chad, Ellie B. Thanks, sweetie. Jennifer, COA 106, been around. Hope I didn't bore you guys. I get going on stuff like that. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we're going to call it a night, and I'm going to see you on a video beforehand, but I'll see you next Tuesday. Let me see what music I got playing here. Oh, yeah, got some Spanish stuff. Listen to that. Oh, cool. I like that. All right, we'll let that play me out. Guys, you know the drill. Take the rest of the day off. Eat meat.